I've been using VR tech for years, and I plan on using it for many more years to come. I've spent countless hours playing VR games, using VR applications, and exploring VR social platforms. Yet one of the most noticeable aspects of my virtual journeys has been the undeniable emptiness in many VR worlds. When talking about this emptiness, I'm talking about the social VR platforms such as VRChat, Rec Room, Sansar, and Meta Horizon. If you have a VR headset and only play games on it, you won't understand what I'm talking about in this video. But for those who want to label social interactive based VR as quote-unquote the Metaverse, I can tell you that I've spent plenty of time in the Metaverse, and there's definitely a sizable gap between the amount of available VR worlds and the number of users who occupy them. The footage you're seeing in this video are shots of memorable worlds that I've visited in VR. I've seen many beautiful things in virtual reality that were made by very talented creators. Yet, for those who envision VR becoming something like the virtual worlds depicted in Cyberpunk titles such as Snow Crash or Ready Player One, namely busy and densely populated virtual environments that are frequented by devoted customers, VR just isn't there yet. In fact, it could become something else entirely, and it probably will have to if it is going to continue as its own unique form of media. What I've seen is that social VR is growing the same way other media sharing platforms like YouTube have grown. They grow by providing opportunities for users to submit content for distribution and to find an audience. Some content finds an audience while others do not. Some show a professional or near professional level of quality while others look and feel amateurish. The virtual worlds on platforms like VRChat follow this pattern, but what makes this kind of media different is its attribute of immersion. When watching a video or listening to a podcast online, you won't notice if anyone else is consuming the same media as you are at the same time as you. In VR, though, you will know how alone you are in a world when no one else is there. As such, there are many empty worlds in virtual reality. To be fair, social VR platforms have provided plenty of opportunities for many artists and designers to provide their work to consumers. If you want to get a job in the VR industry, social VR platforms are a great place to build a portfolio. But for those who don't know this is going on in VR, they might be absolutely baffled as to why social VR has so many places to go where no one is present. In fact, I've heard some commentators remark that this emptiness reflects the failure of VR to find a reliable audience. I think that for virtual spaces to work, they need to be planned for, promoted, and maintained like real spaces. Spaces like shopping centers, schools, amusement parks, sports venues, and so on are built with very specific purposes in mind and are marketed to people based on those purposes. VR spaces have to do the same thing to demonstrate the value of virtual immersion and advertise how they can provide opportunities and experiences that either physical spaces cannot or that physical spaces can, but are not easy to access by many consumers. When I've heard Mark Zuckerberg and other Silicon Valley gurus attempting to hype the metaverse, I didn't hear them talking about the unique value of virtual spaces. They wanted to put consumers into VR headsets, but they didn't give any convincing reasons as to why consumers should want to be in headsets in the first place. In some cases, what they advertise VR headsets doing are the same things that other devices and services already do. After all, why would you want to put on a headset to go to a virtual cubicle in a virtual office space that has a virtual meeting room when you can already do the same thing with a computer, a good internet connection, and teleconferencing apps such as Zoom? I'm convinced that VR will find its way to consumers eventually, even if it does not appear or function in the same ways that cyberpunk narratives predicted it would. It may find users through cheaper headsets, or augmented reality glasses could prompt users to seek more immersive experiences through VR. Location-based VR attractions are becoming more common, and these places will inevitably introduce more consumers to VR. I'm personally hoping that location-based VR and home-use VR will overlap in the future, but we'll have to wait and see if this happens. Regardless, as VR grows and better defines how it differs from other media, carefully designed and maintained virtual spaces will appear that cater to specific user needs and provide opportunities and experiences that other mediums cannot. Maybe this will happen through platforms that encourage open content creation, or maybe it won't. But the potential for VR remains, no matter how empty it may seem right now. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment below, and please click like and subscribe for more 3D content.